What's going on, guys? Samuel One World from Samuel One World Productions here. I'm back with another ranking for you all today. As for today's ranking, I am going to rank all 17 of the Resident Evil games that I have played. For those who don't know, I'm actually still very new to the Resident Evil franchise. I finally played a lot of them a couple years ago. In 2021, I played the majority. I think I even streamed them a lot on Twitch. I streamed like 5 of the games we're talking about on the platform. And I was currently streaming one of them before some issues came up, and I ended up having to put the stream on hold for right now. But I did eventually beat that game, so I figured now would be the perfect time to get my personal updated ranking on the franchise. I did also do a ranking a couple years ago where I ranked all of the 12 entries I played so far on the mainline entries, along with Zero, Code Veronica, and the 2 Revelations games. But as of right now, I've also beat the 3 original games, like the original Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil 2 and 3. I've also beat one of the random games, Operation Raccoon City, and of course beat the recent Resident Evil 4 remake, which I did beat very recently. So that's a total of 17 games I will be ranking. My rankings definitely have shifted a bit since my last ranking, so I think that's enough for me to do an actual ranking for y'all today. Again, like every ranking I do, this is just my personal list. Again, the same goes that we all have the opinions. Life will be boring, but that's just my personal taste. But I will definitely let you know how you guys will top rank Resident Evil down below in the comments. Let me know the game that I probably should play. I'm sure there's some Resident Evils I have not played yet, but I probably have like various reasons. About the ones I'm breaking here are the like 8 games, the Zero, Code Veronica, 2 Revelations games, the 3 OG games, Operation Raccoon City, and the Resident Evil 4 remake is who I will ranking today. Also, I apologize, my voice is a bit weird. I think I'm doing allergies again, so my apologies if my voice is a bit weird in this video, but just to give you guys a heads up. So, end up in the bush, we got 17 games to rank, so let's get on, shall we? So now, coming in at number 17, my opinion, the absolute worst Resident Evil game that I played so far is Resident Evil 0. And again, because I don't think this is to clarify, I don't think Zero is actually a bad game. Honestly, so far I've not played like a damn abysmal game in this franchise. But yeah, even I wasn't a fan of Zero when it came out. Like, it's not that interesting of a game. It's a prequel to the original games. There's not much you really can do with that story, because there really isn't anything inventive or interesting or unique about this game. Even the story it tries to tell you here is not interesting either. Not even Rebecca and Billy aren't the most interesting characters either, especially Billy, who hasn't really been on the game since this entry, which should really tell you something about that. But overall, I just find the game to be kind of just boring. That's kind of what puts it in the bottom list. It was just boring. At least I never felt that way about the other games on this list. I just felt bored about playing it. The only event this game really does is the new interesting inventory system that it implements, but other than that, there's not much really interesting involved in this game. I mean, graphics is still pretty good. It does have its moments, but again, it's just a boring game. This game I wasn't invested in, I wasn't scared by. There's not really anything that really makes it stand out with other Resident Evil games. So, for me, Zero probably, like always, will be the worst game franchise. Like, I know this game definitely does have its fans and defenders. Again, I just wish I was one of them. Now, Nemesis 2, we get to a game that's, for a lot of people, they said to be a big cult classic and absolutely adore it. For me, I just find it like tedious and frustrating, and that is Code Veronica. Like, I know a lot of people, especially a lot of people I know from Twitch, are huge fans of Code Veronica. I mean, I know a lot of people that really do adore that game. And I just wish I was one of them. Because I love the game on this list. It's probably the one I felt the most frustrated at, or the most like, about. Honestly, but I think the reason why it puts it above Zero, honestly, is that it actually has more interesting characters and a compelling narrative that did, my frustration just did keep me invested. Hell, I would say the boss battles are still some of the best in the franchise, honestly. Especially the final one, at least, especially with the final one, at least, but again, the gameplay is still just really frustrating. It's kind of what you expect from a Resident Evil game, but I think this is one of those cases where I think the datedness of the game really helps it back, in my opinion. Like, one of the games where I feel like it does feel kind of dated in terms of the structure, and as when it comes to the ones involving tank controls, I'm not really huge on those ones, honestly, which you definitely will see in some entries on this list. Yeah, because I never really grew up with those type of controls, honestly. Like, I know it's just a me thing. And while after getting lost and trying to figure out ways, it's definitely normal for a Resident Evil game. I just this was the worst example of that, where for many times I had no idea what to do or where I was supposed to go, and well, again, that's kind of known for some Resident Evil games. At least eventually I was able to actually figure it out, able to give hints about it. Here, I felt annoyed and frustrating. I know I'm not the only one that thinks that about Code Veronica. I mean, I definitely felt that way many times throughout this game. It was very for a frustrating experience. It took me forever actually get for the freaking first boss, honestly. Get through certain sections of this game. So I think of all the rest of the games, it's probably, again, like the one I'm going to revisit the least. But again, the reason why it's about zero, again, I think the two kids play out actually very interesting characters. They have nice back and forth. I think the narrative as a whole was compelling. Actually had a better story. And again, I like some of the boss battles here, some of the best in the franchise. So there's definitely some highs in this game. Just the lows really just manages to be just an okay game that I can now see why people honestly would want to be a remake, but me it's more of a maybe it could improve some of the issues with this game. The fact that you haven't got a cover on remake is actually kind of surprising, actually, if you really think about it. But you know, Liquid Zero, this is another game that it's definitely a cult classic. I know people do love it. I just wish I was one of those people. Not a bad game by any means, just a frustrating one. And now 15, we have Resident Evil 6. An interesting one, as this was a game that I think for the first half of the game, at least for the first couple campaigns, or the first half of the second campaign, I was actually really having a blast with this game. I was actually having so much fun with the gunplay, the crazy action here. Like, obviously it's weird that they have more focus on action and horror, but honestly, I was really enjoying myself. But this is the definition of a game that, in my humble opinion, really overstays its welcome. And the more I play this game, the more repetitive it becomes, the more bored I end up cutting with certain sections. Like, this is one of those games that I don't think really just felt kind of monotonous at certain points. So in a little low in my opinion. I mean, that has like 3 campaigns, and the actual one really doesn't help that much either. So I think how to spread that out was also not that great either. I thought the pacing was definitely all over the place. So it's a game that I think it's just not fine, honestly. I think it definitely has its fun moments. But again, the more I went on, the more I played it, the more it became, which is, it's also not really a game product, and I'm gonna play because I never do, I like it a lot less. But it's still never to be had, honestly. I don't think it's like the worst of the franchise, like some people say, though. Obviously, when it's 15, I can easily see why. Again, now, it was fun at first, but just got, as it went along. Now, I pretty much enjoy every single game, honestly, from here on this ranking, so coming in at 14, we have Operation Raccoon City, a game that I literally have nothing to say about. Like, I played this game like a few months ago before Resident Evil Remake, and I barely remember anything about this game. Game, honestly. At least it has its fun moments, at least it does have some interesting aspects. But that was really memorable. It's just not a memorable experience. So that's all I can really say about this game. Sorry, I think it definitely isn't enough towards obviously a few spots higher, but sorry, there's not much I can really say about it. Now at number 13, we have the game that started all, the original Resident Evil. The original game that started this whole series. And it's decent, honestly. Like, again, that it's honestly very dated, and also has that terrible iconic voice acting and terrible dialogue. Like, but that's kind of the charm of this game, honestly, is the date that. I like Veronica, that's kind of the charm of this game, but it's what made people fall in love with Resident Evil in the first place. And while this game I can probably see myself really come back to very often, it's a game that I'm happy I was finally able to properly experience. It definitely does have its fun moments, and like, I'm not really huge on the take control aspect here. I don't know why it's a me thing, but yeah, again, has that infamous terrible dialogue. You're almost a Jill sandwich! The master of our love. You're like, every video game pretty much knows those iconic terrible lines, but I just played myself for the first time recently. I could never see why this franchise really like blew up as much as it did. So yeah, not a game I'm personally myself visiting, but it's one of those games I appreciate more than I actually enjoyed. But I still do appreciate it, honestly. It's not hard to see why this franchise blew up as soon as it did in 1996. And number 12. I'm listening to this because I know this pick is going to be very unpopular for a lot of people. There's a lot of people who have this game in the top 5 or top 3 of any game, honestly. And I still think it's a good game, so don't shoot me. Don't scream. But I have Resident Evil 4 Remake number 12. Let me explain. Again, I still think it's a good game. This was actually the first Resident Evil game I actually ever played to beat it. And unfortunately, I played some of the games, but I never actually beaten one. This is one where I actually did beat, but one played through Quits in jail, so to experience both of them. Again, I still think it's a good game, honestly. There's still a lot to admire. This game does have some terrifying moments, with some real interesting characters. While the story isn't that like special, it's compelling enough. The mansion is definitely very interesting areas to explore here. Like, there's a lot of stuff to be enjoyed here, but again, it could be just the datiness in this, honestly. Again, I know I mentioned that in a few of these games, but I think it's one of those games I probably would appreciate if I played it when it came out. If I actually did, probably be a long time ago. I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm not really huge on all games that have take control, and there's definitely one exception, which you will see. I mean, a conversation we'll see, but I don't know. I wasn't really invested in this game as much as I was hoping I would be, honestly. Maybe it doesn't have like any huge standout moments. Maybe it just down to the age of the game. Maybe I probably wasn't blown away as much as I was hoping to be. But again, I still think it's a good game. Especially on 12, I still think it's a good game. And honestly, maybe in the future I will be playing this game. But as of right now, I still think it's a good game. That's unfortunately, I think the datiness definitely does hold back a little bit. But nonetheless, still a good game. Now at number 11, that game that definitely did drop a few spots since my last break, and that is the Resident Evil 3 Remake. But I did play the actual original Nemesis game, and honestly, after playing it, I can definitely now see why people were disappointed by this remake, honestly. Because they really dropped the ball in terms of certain aspects of this game, didn't they? Again, I'll get to more of my thoughts on the Nemesis game when we get to that, but this basically feels like a one-down version of that game, or have a lot of the things that make that game unique. And again, we'll see how sure it is. It pretty much feels like a glorified DLC to Resident Evil 2 Remake. But despite that, I still enjoy this game. For DLC, I think it's pretty good, honestly. Do get great moments. Do get some great emotional stuff that happens, especially at the end of Resident Evil 2. The graphics are fantastic and amazing. And obviously, while the Nemesis is the best utilized in this game, I thought he definitely has great moments here as well. Again, I see myself when I actually streamed it. I actually did a 1-sync stream of this game when I decided to play it. And it was definitely one of my favorite things that's done on Twitch, honestly. So maybe it does hold a little bit of place in my heart for that, but I still think it's another good game that just, after playing Nemesis, it did drop a few spots because it made me more realize, oh, that's why people were disappointed with this game. But I still think it's a good game that you still should check out. Not once it's going to blow you away and everything, but for being kind of basic kind of full life DLC 2, Resident Evil 2, it was still good. It was still good. Now we're on the top 10 people, and coming in number 10, we have Resident Evil Revelations. The first Resident Evil game that I actually did stream on Twitch, and one of the ways I had to go through a lot of the entire series, honestly. And that's Revelations, the second one, Remake, and Biohazard and Village. So similar to Resident Evil, I did do a little bit of spot for Revelations. Personally, I think it's definitely one of the more overlooked games in the franchise, honestly. One, it doesn't do anything that's going to blow you away or anything, and then it's basically like a 3DS game that I think it was released on 3DS first, if I remember correctly. It was kind of ported onto PS4. Again, if I'm not wrong here, that's at least what I know. What people told me. But I think that was a pretty good game that definitely had some tense moments, some really surprising moments, some really very interesting structure on so well, I haven't really got back to it since the game. I do remember some stuff of this very fondly, so I don't think the graphics are the best in the world, but it's not like it's gonna be really, so overall, I think really just still a pretty good game. Not really too much to really say about it, for being honest, but it's definitely still a worthwhile entry in the franchise. And now we get to another classic game at number 9, and that is the original Resident Evil 2. It pretty much took what made the original Resident Evil so beloved and great, but definitely managed to up the stakes, up the ante, and improve a lot of the aspects. Because you don't really get the terrible voice acting, at least the terrible lines of dialogue. You still get some bad voice at the end there, but it's not really as bad or as fresh as as it should be. I guess one of those games where I think it definitely does feel a little bit dated, but I mean, if I played it in a long time ago, honestly, I probably would appreciate this more. But I think I like the original. I definitely do. Definitely is a lot to admire about this game. Honestly, for what it did for the franchise, and definitely is one of the best sequels that come out that actually classified on the formula of Resident Evil and what you expect from Resident Evil game. Honestly, we do get some genuine great moments here, some great tense moments in this original game. There's definitely still a lot to admire about this original game, and I'm happy I was able to finally again, probably one I appreciate more than I actually love. But again, I still do appreciate it. I still think there's some genuine great moments here, so still definitely one that's worth checking out. Now at number 8, we have a game that's definitely it's gonna be up and down depending on who you talk to in terms of the rankings. At this time, it's a weird game to really talk about where it should be on a ranking, and that is Resident Evil 5. And the reason I say that is because it's definitely one of those games I think it's best, most experienced, and most fun to play when you're playing with a friend. I'm not saying it won't be bad when you play a single player. The problem is that upon achieving this game is a pretty terrible AI. And when I'm wasting items on random stuff, random stuff, and of course she gets killed, you die. Which definitely makes for a very frustrating experience, honestly. And this is also when they decided to lead more into the action side instead of the horror side of Resident Evil. But maybe instead from the punching the boulder scene that's very Nemesis franchise, I don't think they definitely gone to the round was jumping the shark or anything like that. Like people say it, or punching the boulder, as you say, the demos was that bad or anything. They basically don't do any ground worthy in this game is what I'm trying to say. But when he's basically with a friend, honestly, which I have have my brother, I play this game on my single play too, in one with my brother. I think if you experience with a friend, I think that's when the experience gets more fun and more entertaining. It's one of the games that kind of just know what it is and just embraces it. Well, yeah, it definitely at this point feels to put the whole side of Resident Evil. But for just a pure, it feels like you're playing a huge action blockbuster. Which of course is definitely against me, but it's one of those things where if you take it as it is, if you take it what it's trying to do, it can be a lot of fun. Just playing with a friend. Honestly, if I would talk about the single player experience, I probably would put a couple bucks low on this ranking, honestly, probably number 10 or 11. But I think the multiplayer aspect of playing with two sides when playing with a friend makes this game a lot more fun, so I think at number 8 it's a good spot for this game. Now we get to another anime game on this ranking. At number 7, we have Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I think of the Resident Evil games that involve taking controls, this one's probably my favorite one of these. And a lot of it when it comes to Nemesis himself. Who, while he's not as scary as Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 Remake, he definitely makes the name for himself as being one of the most menacing characters to ever appear in a Resident Evil game, and for good goddamn reason. And it also has some of the most fun puzzles in the franchise, one of the more compelling narratives of the franchise. And of course you get the iconic choice system that I've always heard so many great things about. I'm sorry. You also get the iconic choice system that I always hear so many things about. And yeah, it definitely lived up to the hype of how compelling that system really is, and it's kind of baffling now on the side to get rid of that in the remake, if I'm being honest. So I think it's the classic era of Resident Evil, the one with the actual tank control and everything. This one's probably the most memorable, my favorite one it is, and this is probably one I can probably see myself actually come back to because of the choice system, because of the story, the puzzles, the characters. Well, obviously not because having the big highs as I like to get into this list, which is only where it's number 7. I can finally see why people really do admire this game. Now, coming in at number 6, just missing on top 5, personally is the Resident Evil Revelations 2. And in my opinion, probably the most overlooked game in this franchise, in my opinion. As long as you can really talk about much in terms of the games, again, I've only played this game once and I've not played it in the co-op, which I think probably would make this much better, honestly, at least from what I hear. But right now, like I said, Nemesis 2 definitely is a great game in my opinion. It has a very interesting, compelling narrative throughout the story, interesting new characters, some the most hidden sequences in my opinion of this franchise, and some really great technical sequences as well. But it probably has also one of the finales of this entire franchise as well. How I also didn't mind the DLC stuff they added in here as well. It's better that they kind of structured this like an episode by episode format. I can imagine if this was done, if I would play it episode by episode, but when it was coming out, that probably would have been frustrating in some aspects, but it really just too, I think it's a great game. It has better graphics, it definitely has great music, great tense sequences, pretty interesting new characters. All around a game that I would just recommend playing, and in my opinion, is the Resident Evil game I think is definitely the most overlooked. And now, we get to top 5, the 5 games that personally I consider to be the Mount Rushmore of Resident Evil games. The 5 games in the franchise that I actually consider to be top tier games, excellent entry ways to get in the franchise, and just alright great games in general. And I'm actually just talking about all of them here, and like I said, was we know 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They probably do that most right now, but we'll see. First up, we have Resident Evil 2 Remake, which I think is an excellent remake, an excellent updated version of the original game. Game with Young and Clay, I think both really great developed characters, have great interactions with each other, great characters in general. And every involved Mr. X in that game is just phenomenal and fantastic. Especially when he appears out of nowhere, like he makes a lot of things very tense and just scary. And the graphics here are just fantastic. And then we have Resident Evil Village and Biohazard and Village. Which I've actually both these games on Twitch. And they both playthroughs on these games, and I did play some aspects of these games later on down the road. But I think these are going to be great games where Biohazard, I think, goes back to the horror roots of the franchise. Like, while it has action moments, it's straight up horror. And it's still, in my opinion, being the scariest game in the franchise. Each is a very compelling character, the story is very compelling, the boss battles are fantastic, the graphics are great, again, it looks disgusting and scary, but in the best possible ways. The final boss is the only thing I really don't like about this game, is the fact the final boss pretty much is a joke. But, you know, so how much I love Biohazard, and Village takes everything great about Biohazard and just ups the ante, going for more of the Resident Evil 4 approach involving the action, the horror side. And honestly, I think it pulls out the best from being honest. Well, again, you do get amazing graphics, you do get a great compelling narrative, a bit more emotional narrative here. So, incredible boss battles, moments, especially one involving a baby that's just, that still haunts my nightmares to this very day. Like, ugh. But it's also great, the characters are great, and even the DLC really adds a lot more layers to that game as well. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with more of this game down the road, and of course, we got the original Resident Evil 4, which, while it took me forever to actually finally get to playing this game, I'm happy I finally did. Well, I would say it's one case where while it does feel dated in some aspects, it doesn't really harm the experience in my opinion. But it's because I think the data is kind of what makes it special, unique in this case. And it's a great character, and you get some really tense and scary moments, and great quick time events. Like this was kind of started the whole quick time event trend in video games in time. Well, all the aspects of action can be kind of annoying and tedious at times, and never takes away from this game. Then of course there's the recent Resident Evil 4 Remake, which, again, I think is a phenomenal game, and I did find a bit of the game. I think it takes what makes the original Resident Evil 4 great, and just up the ante again. Don't get a lot of like goofiness from that game here, a little more horror tone here, but it definitely works. You know, Leon still has his great snarky moments, actually isn't really annoying at all in this game. In fact, the character is actually a lot more interesting in this game, actually. And the way that all the stuff from the original games, from the boss battles and everything, just amazing game. It's just so much fun, and not much, and a lot more replayable, honestly, and there's a lot more stuff to do in this game than the original. It's not like a linear experience like the original. I guess linear, but there's definitely some side stuff to do in general. And alright, I just had a blast with this game. So, which of these games would order? So basically, here's my order. 5 would be Resident Evil 2 Remake. Number 5 would be the Resident Evil 2 Remake. Number 4 would be the original Resident Evil. I don't know if you really like that being as well, but all the games are still amazing. Number 3 would be Biohazard, probably one of my highest ones from the final boss. Number 2 would be Village, which was my favorite Resident game as soon as I played and finished it. But now, the Resident Evil Remake is now my personal favorite Resident Evil game. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed my ranking of all the Resident Evil games. I'm excited to finally get ranked for you guys know. Definitely let in the comment section. What are your thoughts on this franchise? What the games have you played? What games you think I should go on this list or should play? And for the ones you guys have played, let me know yours down below in the comment section. I know what other rankings and stuff you want me to do. I do have a custom thing where if you if I get some certain money, I'll be able to do that video for you guys. So it's link is written below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Samuel One More of Samuel Productions. I will see you next time. As always, stay cool, everybody. Peace.